I just want some tips how to win more games. In general, it's hard to say. If you want to win more games, it means you want to lose less, and therefore you should probably analyze the games where you lost and try to understand what made you lose. And yeah, it might have been teammates throwing or teammates playing bad, but there is usually a way, like something that you could have done better to actually win those games. Because in the end, if you want to win the most, the highest amount of games possible in Rocket League, you have to sweat, because mistakes are gonna come in, both forced and unforced, and you'll have to be able to deal with them. So you either have to have good enough mechanics to get out of those situations, or you have to have good enough game sense / positioning / reads, and you have to understand which is your weak point in those. So like you take a game where you lost, maybe it was a close game, like if you got clapped, maybe it was just an unfair game, like you got up against some smurfs and your teammates didn't really bother try harding against them. So yeah, those are probably some out of sample losses that you shouldn't overanalyze. But like a close game where you lost, in those games where you think, okay, how am I supposed to win this? You have to really look back, save the replay and look back in those games and see what caused the loss. There are probably many things that caused it. Like if you got scored on 3 times, there have been 3 mistakes, very likely, and so on. And then you have to understand what triggered those mistakes. Was it a positional mistake? Was it a mechanical mistake? A misread? So you have to identify what the problem is. And then if you do this enough times in enough games, you will probably find a pattern. Like you will see that you get a lot of reads wrong. Okay, so now you have something to work on. You can see, you can try and find the training pack to improve reads. For example, like a training packet might not be the best way for reads specifically, because it's always the same thing unless you put variance with Bakkesmod. But you get what I mean. Like you identify what is your problem, your main problem, and then you start working hard on it, and you will see that it's pretty much a formula. It's a multiplicative thing. Like you want to work on the thing you're weakest on. So if reads are your weakest point, you want to work on them. If mechanics are your weakest point, try to identify which mechanics you're lacking. Like you can look at a higher level players' gameplay and see what they did different compared to you in a certain position. Like I don't know, for example, if you're in the corner, you can see players doing something like this. Maybe you can't do that, and you have to work on that. I don't know, like you look at the games and you think, what would I do here, and why did he do that? Is it better than what I do? If it's better than what I do, maybe it's a good idea to try and learn that. So the first thing is analyzing what is making you lose, and then from there you can start working on the things that are making you lose. How do you get that mod? You mean Bakkesmod? It depends. If you're on console, I'm pretty sure you can't. If things haven't changed, I'm pretty sure Bakkesmod is PC only, so it's both Epic and the Steam, but it's not on console. And if it's on console, if you're on console, I would just go in freeplay like I'm doing right now. I'm going for more like aerial plays like this. But if you're struggling with reads, for example, you want to try and hit the ball hard. Just hit the ball, put it in awkward position, and try to go as fast as possible, trying to read it. And go again. They try to play as fast as possible, try to get the reads as fast as you can, and force yourself to miss, basically. Because if you missed, you identified a read that is hard for you, and so you want to keep working on that one. So yeah, with Bakkesmod you can use Alpha Boost like you want. You have a button, equip Alpha Boost, and you're ready to go. And also you can add variance to your custom training. So the shots are usually always the same in custom training, but if you add variance, they are slightly different every time. You can add more or less variance, so they're very varied every time you play them, or just with a little bit of variation. You can choose how much you want them to vary, for example. Then the only other thing is world detail. You can keep it to performance and you will get less stuff on the background, which is useful for a lot of maps. But the backdraw is that you don't get a lot in terms of the trail behind the ball. Like if I blast this, you don't see much trail wise. You can see there's only one little trail on the ball right there. And instead, if I put world detail high, you can see there are more things on the trail. So I usually get slightly better reads if I have this on high quality. But yeah, of course, if your PC can't handle it, just delete it. Just put it at the lowest setting possible, and you'll be absolutely fine. It's pretty much like dynamic shadows. If your PC handles it, just keep them on because they give you just a slight advantage over someone that doesn't have them. But maybe, like, if you keep them off, it doesn't change much. Also, like, you get this little blur here, this bloom. It's actually not bloom, it's given by the world detail. So if I'm here and I put this to performance, you can see that the light around here turns off. Actually, somehow I took the boost. No, okay, there's no boost. We might have found a new bug. So yeah, really interesting. And if I put it back to high quality, yeah, now the boost is not here. Okay, so now the boost is here. And it does have the bloom around it. So maybe there are some situations where you don't see the boost, but I actually know that this boost is here because you can see that my screen is glowing. So I don't need to watch here. I already know that the boost is here. I can do this and grab the boost. So yeah, world detail on high can have some interesting features, I'd say. But there's also another one, not in this map because there's no grass here, but if we put like yeah, probably here, like a grassy map where you have grass, especially yeah, here on the goal line. So if I put let me see if I can do this. Oh no, here I got a puck. Okay, let's see if I can do this. So I'm doing this, yeah, you can see here that my camera goes up and there's grass in front of my eyes. So this is a backdraw of high quality world detail. So this is another con of having it on a high quality, because if you put it on performance, there's no grass in coming outside, so it's much cleaner this way. So you have to decide which one you like better. So how to get less losses? Yeah, recapping is mostly replay analysis on games that matter, so like close games that you lost, and look at what caused the mistakes, and you will understand what you need to work on, and once you got that, start working on it. There are many ways to work on things you can do just yet, and the first being just free play like I'm doing right now, or custom training as well if you want to focus on a like really precise mechanic that you're locking onto. For example, backboard clears. I don't know if I can do this from here. Let me see. Yeah, yeah. I got the worst possible things here. Yeah, like these ones, for example. If you want to learn those, or like clears, off the wall plays. There are many training packs to focus on really precise mechanics if you feel like you're lacking onto something. And then if it's positioning, I think the best way is to analyze your replays and then keep them in mind while playing, and look at the situations you find yourself in, and try to remember what you did wrong in a replay. So maybe you find yourself in a position, I don't know, you're defending from here. You remember that in the replay you went, let me see, you went like this and you flipped, and you just flipped inside, and this time instead you remember that you have to go here and then flip, for example, I don't know, or yeah, you have to remember what you did wrong in replays, and rethink those things while playing. It's a bit hard for a lot of people, but that's one of the fastest ways to improve. You analyze your replays, you find out what you did wrong positionally, and you try to remember your mistakes while playing in order not to do them again. And also, like, there are many set pieces. Like when you got a teammate there, you probably want to stay around here. You're not too close to the net that you can't recover and get back to defense, and you're also ready for a pass. If something bad happens, you want to turn around and get back as quickly as possible. Or like when a teammate is dribbling, for example, your teammate, let me see if I can do this. Okay, so maybe your team is dribbling, is in that position, you want to be somewhere around here. In threes this, because you should be able to have someone back. You should have someone back, so you're ready for a pass in case it happens, and you can smash it. All these pieces of positioning are pretty much set. Every time you're in those positions, you want to hang around in those positions. In these situations, it's pretty much all the same thing, and then on top of that, there's a layer of reaction you have to put into the play. Also, when you're defending, for example, you want to shadow, always point towards your goal, so if the shot comes in, you can stop it. You usually want to either stop it if you don't have pressure on you, or you want to just clear it towards the corner, so like that. You always want to send it towards the side and not straight down the middle, of course. All those little things that should be obvious, but for some people they're not, and I don't know exactly why, but it's like that because I've seen it so many times. Maybe it's just mechanical mistakes, that they don't have good enough mechanics to clear the ball to the corner, so they just clear it down the middle. Sometimes it happens to me as well when I'm under a lot of pressure and I don't have much boost, for example. But yeah, those are general things that you should always keep in mind. And yeah, for reads, as I was saying, you probably want to just hit the ball really hard in free play and try to stay close to the ball at all times. Try to smash it and follow it up to play as fast as possible. So reads, which also works for speed. Then you have mechanics with both free play and the custom training, and then for positioning and decision making. Well, positioning, a lot of positioning, as I said, is set pieces. So also like to goal keep, if the ball is on that side of the field, you want to stay around here, so you're ready to come out of the net and get a save. And you're also safe from demos, because inside here, first, people can't see you on most maps, because as you can see here, it's not transparent. Some maps are transparent, but not many, and so people can't see you, and that can be a surprise element, surprise factor. You can come out of here and get a big clear, and no one saw it coming, especially at lower levels. And then you're also safe from demos, because it's really hard to demo someone from here, especially if you're not even sure they're there. You really have to go here, and it's really difficult. As you can see, you can just jump on this thing and you wouldn't be able to demo anyone that is in there. So you're probably really safe from demos here, and you can see the whole play. You can see whatever is happening, and you're ready to react. If a shot comes in at the near post, you have it covered because you're really close to it. And if a shot comes towards the far post, it has to travel a lot. It has to do all the net, so you also have time to go and grab that one, provided you got, I don't know, a couple of pads probably. With 20 boost, you probably have enough to do this and say something. And so yeah, this is for positioning. And then for decision making, it's pretty much play a lot. And in those games where you where you lost and you don't know exactly why, you might have done some questionable decisions. And that is, at lower ranks especially, is probably one of the most crucial factors from when you give away goals. A lot of people most of the time do mistakes that are decision making, in the sense that they just go too hard. They just aggress for no reason. They just go for the ball when they have no need to go for it. Like the ball is going, let me see, it's going there into the corner, and they just aggro. They come maybe from here. Oh, I have to hit this ball. Oh no, I just hit it into the middle, and we got scored on. Instead, they could just wait. The ball is rolling. Let me see if I can reproduce it. It's rolling towards there. You just go, you see if someone's coming in, you take it slow. A lot of times is people just panic and they go for stuff they don't really have any business to go for. And you can see one of the last games I played, maybe the very last one I played, there was this guy that just kept going for everything. Even balls that were completely safe, he was just going for them. I don't know, it's a kind of playstyle, like a really annoying playstyle to play against, because they just keep going and they keep messing up what you have in mind to do, but they also mess up their teammates a lot of times. You have to know when to do that, and you want to do that especially on offense. If you're winning, especially, you want to do that because it's annoying for the opponents. You just keep away the whole time. And that is fine, but if you do that on defense as well, it means that you're lacking game sense and you're just going for everything because you're panicked and not because you want to disrupt the opposition. So yeah, you want to look into that probably from replays, and you will probably see also looking at replays from your teammate's perspective. Like in that case, if that guy watches the game from my perspective, either from replay or from my stream, he will see how many times he cut me off, he just ball chased for no reason, and if he's smart, he's gonna keep that in mind the next time he plays, especially if he sees a teammate that is quite solid, is probably a few ranks above him. If he's smart, he will know better than to keep chasing like that for no reason. And that's something everyone can do. It's really easy. You don't need any mod like Bakkesmod. You just go, you save the replays instead of quitting super quickly after you lose a game where maybe you played a 5 minutes overtime and then you lost. You just take a deep breath, say it's okay. I might learn something from this, and you save the replay. You watch it back, and maybe you will find out some mistakes. Well, surely you will find out some mistakes if you're humble enough to look for them. And then you will find out, okay, I don't really make good clears. Okay, so look for a training pack to do good clears. I give away possession too much. Then go in free play and try to keep the ball for yourself as much as possible. Try to do something like this. Keep the ball close at all times. Try to dribble around the field, both with ball carry and also with bounce dribbles. This is something that you can implement in your own gameplay. Even if you don't go in the air like this, you don't do or stall resets and stuff, you can also just keep it on the ground all the time. And you just, yeah, once you become good enough, you can start going on the ceiling, coming down, and still keeping the ball for yourself. You just want to be always in a relevant position. Maybe you get scored on a lot of times because you're taking unsafe 50-50s, for example. A lot of people don't cover the net while taking 50-50s. That's the first thing you want to do. If you're taking a 50-50, you always want to be between the ball and the net. So like if I'm defending there, I always want to be in a position where I can block the path of the ball towards the net. So I can, even if I lose the 50-50, I'm very likely not to lose it in a super dangerous position. Like the worst that can happen is probably if the ball pinches and then it goes, it bounces onto the wall, so you get something that does something like that of a 50-50, and then you get scored on. Well, that's pretty unlucky, but in a way it's still avoidable. as you get better and better at taking 50-50s, you will find out that you're able to avoid most of them, and most of the bad ones. That's why you can see the highest rated players in the planet, like the Middle Eastern boys, Ahmad, Khalid, TRK. They always take a lot of 50s, but they take them in such a way that even with their high ping, they are always in a position where they can block the path of the ball to the net. So they don't really get scored on from 50-50s. And if you got teammates that are good enough to understand this, they would position accordingly, and they would be able to follow up your ball, your 50-50, even if you lost it territorially. It's still not going to be a goal, so it's still a follow-upable play. And you always want to try and do that. 50-50s are a huge part of gameplay in the end. So if you're lacking into 50-50s, definitely put some time into those, because it's going to pay off for sure. I was talking about defense because mostly it's defense that is lacking at lower levels. People are either too bad mechanically, or they can't read stuff, they play too slow, they miss boosts, they don't have good boost management. Yeah, definitely boost management is another topic where you can discuss a lot. You always want to be rotating around the small pads. In the end, rotating here or rotating here, it doesn't make that much of a difference positionally, but it does make a huge difference boost wise. So you always want to be trying to rotate around and get all these small pads. Even if you don't get them cleanly, you still get them even if you're close. You don't need to exactly go onto it. That's why I often try to get some touches on the ball where I just slightly offset compared to the boost, but I still get the boost and I also get the ball. Like here, I probably would have gotten that boost there. And yeah, boost management is another huge topic. And what you can do is keep the Bakkesmod and try and get all the pads. Try to remember where they are. Of course, it's much more difficult during a game, but often you will be in a position where you actually see them. So like here, I have Bakkesmod, but I know where all the pads are. So I just put my car in a good trajectory. So here I'm on the same line. I'm straight and parallel to this line. So here, if I just front flip, I'm just gonna get them. Then if you get better, you can also speed flip and get them. I usually can take 3 pads with a speed flip. Okay, I align here. I get these 3 pads. I also got the landing dash there on top of it all. And yeah, I was talking about defense because it's mostly that's the key point, the key factor that makes you lose games at most ranks. Offense is usually not a problem. Also because defense is a problem. So if defense is a problem, you're gonna score goals pretty easily. You will not need to push a lot. You will just wait for the mistake. It's gonna come, and you're probably gonna win off of that. If you didn't do more mistakes than your opponents, of course. And that's why I'm mostly talking about defense. But if you struggle on offense, you want to see the options. Okay, so in this case, I went for a flip reset musty. What could have I done differently? Maybe it was a better idea to just go for a straight air dribble. In this case, maybe it was better to just keep going like this, get a dunk, and get a favorable 50-50 for my teammate that comes in and scores the open net. So you want to look back at your replay and see what other things you could have done. Maybe even things that you can't do just yet. Maybe you went for a normal air dribble because you didn't feel comfortable going for a flip reset, and but that might have been the better choice. So if you're a rather high ranked player and you just can do flip resets, maybe you wanna give it a shot and see. Sometimes, even if you don't hit the reset, people are gonna think you did, and they're gonna respect you, and it might give some interesting outcomes, some really fakey outcomes. And I don't know, sometimes maybe you control the ball, and then you got an unfavorable 50, and you get scored on because of that. You might want to flick it early. So like, just a little thing like that. You get control of the ball and you flick it. Then you try to get back in rotation, or you try to get back to the ball. You want to see the options in general. What can I do in this position? What could have I done instead? Why it didn't work? What could have I done to make it work instead? I always do that. If you watch my stream, you will see me often when I get scored on. I often say, okay, yeah, I should have probably flicked the ball early, or just hit it hard towards the target, or I should have kept it close. Should have just taken a 50-50. Depends on the situation, and you want to analyze every situation. You can also do that in game, like I do. I don't do much replay analysis of my own gameplay because I usually do that while playing. It's not as effective, of course, but I don't have that much time to go over my replay unless I'm preparing for like some big event, and I usually do that while gaming. So if I get scored on, I try to understand, okay, in this case I could have done this and it was probably a better choice, like maybe I shouldn't clear that this position, maybe I should just go for a safer approach, just keep control of the ball, go for a dribble, an air dribble, something. And you want to see the different options that you had and the one that you take, if it's the best one or if there was something better you could have done. And you do that enough times, eventually you will learn what's the best thing to do in each situation, and once you grind it out, the mechanics to do those things in all the situations, instead of going for double flipper sets, you might just want to go for pre-flipper dribbles, for example, that are actually much more useful than double flipper sets competitively. And instead of going for pure easy flicks, you might just want to go for a quick side flip flick. I think I scored 2 or 3 during this stream. Just quick dribbling, put the ball on the side of your car, side flip, go. It's really quick, you don't put yourself out of position because you keep following the ball. Look, I'm still behind the ball, I'm still below it pretty much. Also, all these pre-flips off the walls, that's super important. So yeah, instead of learning how to make the psychos, maybe you should learn to do this. Like picking the mechanics you want to learn in a smart way and not in the cool way. If you want to be a competitive player, of course. If you want to be a freestyler, that's completely up to you, of course. You can learn them in the order you want. But as a competitive player, I can tell you that there are mechanics that are much more useful, despite being less cool. And that will pay off much more than higher level mechanics that you will pretty much never use. It's cool to pogo off the wall, yeah, it's cool, but how many times are you gonna use that in competitive? Yeah, pretty much never. Yeah, okay, something like this. You do this, you keep control. Look at that, the ball was going on our back wall and I turned it into an offensive chance pretty much. I made half the field with just a couple of touches. I'm not very good at double flip resets, but I'm better than a lot of people at doing those, and I will probably create more chances than someone that can do double flip resets, because I can do those these kind of competitive mechanics. Ah, close. Almost pogo flip reset. Also the options, you want to go for these, big flips if you hit it, but probably someone's gonna challenge you, so you might want to go for something quicker, oh okay, might be in this time, might be a bit too tired right now. Yeah, someone's challenging you, you want to do something to throw them off. In this case I did a stall. You want to have as many options as possible. The classic is just go into the ceiling, jump down, and then hit the ball. Just cleanly, quickly, no questions asked, just get past the guy. Sometimes people expect you to just go for the shot, and instead you can just go for the pass instead, like that. Then your teammate bangs. But yeah, options is a big topic in Rocket League. And the more you play, the more you will see all the options you have in a certain play. You will realize how many things you can do in a specific environment instead of always going for the same thing over and over. You will realize that it's much better to switch it up, because if you go for the same thing over and over, people are going to expect it. Instead, if you keep switching it up, they will not know what's coming. So you want to have as many tools as possible in your arsenal. That is, having a lot of options. But at that point I should also add one last thing, which is setup. I talked about this earlier when I was talking about how to find teammates you can play with in order to rank up, but it's something that you want to look on for yourself as well. Your setup has to be good, there's no doubt about that. A lot of people don't tell you this, but it's actually really important. You need to have a good internet connection, you need to have good peripherals, so PC is by far the preferred platform to play Rocket League, or like games in general, because you get more FPS, so less input lag, and then what else you have? You want to have a PC that gives you enough FPS, which is in my opinion at least 240, and then you want to have a screen that handles those FPS and displays them, so at least 144 Hertz. Everything above that is good, but you don't really notice a huge difference. I have 240, I played on 165, and I didn't really feel much difference. You tend to get even lower input lag if you play on higher frame rates, not just as FPS but also as a refresh rate of the monitor, but the difference is really super small. So I would say, yeah, 144 already pretty good. If you can afford it, go for 240, and everything above that is just for just to show off, basically, for the 360 Hertz monitors. I would rather get a monitor with 240 Hertz and QHD rather than a full HD monitor and 360 personally, because if you already see the difference between 144 and 240, it's so small that the difference between 140 and 360 is pretty much non-existent. And so yeah, enough FPS, decent enough screen to display these FPS, so refresh rate, internet connection, and finally the input. Of course, I always endorse people to play on controller. If you're playing on KBM, really think about making the switch to controller, and if you play on controller, you should really think about playing on a pro controller like I am. Unfortunately, my overlay doesn't show it, because I couldn't find any overlay that shows your where you can customize the inputs. So like when I'm using arrow right here, you can see that I'm pressing the left stick, but I'm actually not. I'm pressing my rear button on the controller. So yeah, you want to find a scheme that works, and of course you want to have a controller that is not broken. That's obvious, but a lot of people play with broken controllers, so they can kind of blame their controller for their losses. But if you want to rank up, you don't want to lose in general. So if there's something you can do to avoid losing, just do it. Just get a better controller, a not broken one, of course, and if you can afford a controller that is that has back paddles, that has a lower input lag than the others, that is sturdy as much as a controller could be, and yeah, you should really consider it. And the last thing about controller is yeah, the control scheme, because like a lot of people have some suboptimal control schemes. So like boost on circle, which is the most common one. That is really suboptimal. Like, think about it. You sometimes you pretty much everyone plays with jump on A. Then you got ball cam either on Y or on X, like me. I have it on X because I can jump and take off ball cam at the same time, which is useful for when you have to like do these kind of shots where you want to take off ball cam straight after, just to have a quick recovery, or also like, yeah, do something like this where you want to focus on the car after you get the shot, so with the jump. And if you also have to use like, if you have arrow left here, you want to press basically jump, ball cam, arrow left, and if you also got boost, you have to press pretty much all four buttons together at the same time, which is pretty suboptimal. Yeah, you could learn, a lot of pros do this, but they have like more than 10k hours in game. If you want to get better at Rocket League fast, you really want to consider having a more optimized control scheme. For example, mine is with boost on LB, so my left index finger is pretty much only devoted to boost and those rare instances where you have to use brakes. So like, I don't know, someone wants to bump you and you brake, but mostly I would say a finger for boost is pretty good, because you use boost a lot in Rocket League, right? So you want to have a part of your brain always ready to use boost or to not use it, but you always have to be ready to use it or not, instead of having the same in this case thumb that does all these things together. It's just so difficult. Your brain just works more when it could work less, just by having a more optimized control scheme. And then if you have back paddles on your controller, you can experiment with a lot of different combinations and find the best one that works for you. So you really want to experiment with that if you want to improve faster at the game. And yeah, I think this pretty much covers the input. Of course, you don't want to use Steam, what do you call it, controller configuration, unless it's one of the, let's call them like certified ones that don't add any input lag, because there are some guys that say you get more input lag by using the Steam controller configuration, but it's not completely true. It does normally, but there are some that don't actually add any input lag. I used the one from Rocket Science, Halfway Dead, and he has tested this. He's probably the guy you want to talk. You want to see his videos if you want to look at the controller input delay, and he's done this himself. He's tested it, and this one doesn't add any input lag to your game, so you can use it if you want, and you don't want to have any added input lag that of course you don't want. Yeah, then there are ways to overclock your controller, but I don't know, I feel like past 250 you don't feel much different in terms of input lag, especially if the rest of your setup is already pretty good. And then also, like, I think my controllers, like Xbox controllers in general, they have a 125 Hz of polling rate, so your PC scans 125 times every second, each second to find out if a new input was given to it. But I don't know, it should be like half than PS4 controllers, PS5 controllers, but I've played with both and I don't really feel any different with one over the other. Probably also because the rest of my setup is really low input, has low input lag, because I'm playing with 360 FPS constant, on a 240 Hz PC with a new controller that is not broken or anything. So yeah, you're probably fine. Look at this. Oh, you went in the end. Yeah, nice. So I also finished up with a cool play here.